So you want to know how to make reversible over-the-collar dog bandanas. Well, you're in luck, because that's what we're doing in this video. I'm Nat with Nat and Yeti. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to make this exact dog bandana. It is reversible and over the collar. Our first step is going to be sewing these two pieces of material together, so that way we have one giant square. I've placed the good sides of the fabric together, and then the two raw sides of the fabric are on the outside. So before we take this fabric directly to the sewing machine, we're going to, with my little tomato, we are going to be pinning it down so that way the two top ends line up so we know exactly where we're gonna sew. Now I know that you see that I sewed that without securing the edges or anything. That's because we're not done there. We have another step for this top section. We need to create a space for the tunnel so that way dog collars can slide through it, because these are reversible and over the collar dog bandanas. I'm going to be lining it not to the top of the material but to the top of the stitching, because this stitch line is actually where the top of the bandana is going to be once we turn it inside out. So I just take it from that stitch line, measure a little over my 2-inch mark, or you can do 2 inches. Once you know where you're going to be cutting, you take your roller cutter. I got this one from the Dollar Tree, and then you just cut your fabric. We can't just have it looking all janky like this, otherwise you'll start fraying at the ends. So we're gonna be taking this part, folding it over, putting some little pins in it, and getting it sewn together, so that way it looks real nice before we move on to the next step. We've got our pinned, hemmed section prepped and ready to sew. I don't start within the fold line, I start a little bit before it. So that way we have space to do the back stitching and secure the outside, so that way this area doesn't open up while it's on the collar, while it's on the dog, because that area gets a lot of wear and tear and movement. So we want it to be the most secure. Next, we are going to be pinning the edges before we get to hemming the edges, okay? I still take these little pins from my tomato, and now I'm going to be lining up both sides of the bandana at the bottom, so that way we have a nice even space for the collar to go through. Then we'll do the same to the other side. This is simply so it stays lined up where we want it, so we can kind of frame out where we're going to sew next. So when I sew, I start on this side and I go down to the corner and then turn it and go down again. So because of that, I want all the pins to be able to face this way, so that way I can pull them out easily while I'm in the middle of sewing. So we're just gonna make sure our edges are lined up really well and then start putting in these pins every couple inches. If you were lucky enough to get to purchase one of these bandanas from me, you saw that it came with my branding tag. We're stopping before we hit the point of the bandana, so we can go ahead and slip this in. The open side is what we want on the outermost corner, of course, because when we flip it inside out, this will be what is hanging outside of the bandana. So I'm just gonna lift up my corner piece here, slip in my branding. Now, because I want it to be on the denim side, we're gonna put the words faced down. And then you just continue to sew it in. So now you definitely don't want to forget that you put pins in this top area and they need to come back out or you're gonna poke yourself. We are kind of like at a full bandana now, right? But it's all inside out. We are going to snip the tip. You just wanna make sure that you don't cut into your stitching because then you're screwed. That way, we have a nice point when we turn it inside out. We have hemmed all the way around. We have nice finished edges here where the collar is gonna slip in. And then of course it's attached together at the top. I take my thumb, stick it in here, and I bunch it all the way through to the other side. And then I just take these fingers and turn it inside out. So now you have the general bandana shape and design because we don't want this big old fat like bandana like this with all this space. So we're gonna take a handy dandy pepper tomato and take those little pins on there again and go ahead and pin our sides down. And then we'll take care of the top part where the collar slides into. So now we are one step away from the dog bandana of your dreams. That last step is going to be framing out the space for the collar. What I like to do first is folding it over, making a little pizza, you know, corner to corner here. And then I take my Cricut Easy Press Mini and I just iron the top so I get a nice clean line so I can see where this part goes. I do that first, and then the last step I do is the top stitch around the outside because I just figure like keep pushing all the material up. So once we get our bandana into a little pizza, we take this Cricut Easy Press Mini and I just simply go along this top folded area. Then I take these guys and I just put my pins at this fold line that we just made. This creates the column for the dog collar to go through the bandana without losing your collar into this area. So this last part just comes to top stitching the top portion of our bandana so that way we have a cleaner look. Then once again, this little fat guy, we are going to take the pins one final and last time and line up our edges and stick these babies in. This way we get a nice edge at the top of our bandana. It looks clean, it looks good all the way around. We know the bandana is not gonna be ripping open at the top when people slide the collars in because it is secure as all the rest of the bandana. Just like all the others. The little pin there. So there you have it. Hey, that is how you make reversible over the collar dog bandanas. I'm Nat from Nat and Yeti. I hope you found this video valuable and that you were able to follow the steps. Or if you purchased one of these bandanas and you were curious to see how it was made, I'm glad you took a look. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I'm all about dogs, DIYs, and Cricut crafts. And of course, now I'm sewing. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.